All right, there we go. Well, we've been starting off each week for the last 4 weeks. Oh, before I get into that, for the next month, because we're not going down to the center, I'm going to go ahead and have class every Wednesday. So that includes the class before Christmas on the 23rd and the class on the 30th, because I figured I'm going to be at home anyway, so it'll be easy to do. So if you can come, great. If you can't, fine. So we've been talking about, we went through ahimsa, which means nonviolence, and we get to some little talks on ahimsa. And now we're starting into the next yama, which are our practices in the world, and it's Satya, which is truthfulness. And I actually, down the road, you guys will get this, but it's really kind of cool to look at how you need to pay attention so that your truthfulness doesn't become violent in terms of playing with ahimsa and Satya. But for this week, we want to examine our concepts of nice. And by nice, I want you to think of the term I've heard before is Norwegian nice, And how do we do that in the world? And I'm going to be honest here, but in our world, men are less likely to be nice in that way than women are, because we've been kind of cultured in our lives to, as women, to be polite instead of real. So what we want to examine is how often are we nice with people, and then how often are we real with people. And in terms of realness, that can even be the type of thing where somebody says to you, how are you doing today? And instead of automatically saying, oh, I'm just great, how are you? To be real, I might say, well, I'm actually been really struggling lately, and to meet people honestly in every moment. And so if somebody says to you, oh, you're not going to mind picking up and doing that for me, are you? Instead of saying, oh no, sure I can, if it really is going to bother you, you need to start learning to speak that truth and be real about what your needs are in the world. I think that at times women were taught to be so nice and compliant and pleasing that we didn't know how to set our own boundaries. And I think that some of the gray areas of the Me Too movement can come around from that because of how we've been cultured. And the same for men in our society who have in the past would just assume that the woman would be happy with what their decisions were. And it's not so much this way now, but for all of us, we just need to really start paying attention to us being our genuine and authentic selves when we're out and about. Another consideration about this part of truthfulness is how you present to, oh, this is the mood we're going to work on, and I'm doing it now with truthfulness. Is looking at, I just lost my train of thought. I'll pick it up in 1 second. Truthfulness. Oh, how we are around other people. And a lot of times we have one way that we present ourselves in front of one person. So I kind of definitely have my public school parent persona as opposed to my regular persona, though certain public school parents, when I was teaching, I could totally be myself around. Other ones, I'd have to kind of tamp it down and be the teacher. So we sometimes have different personalities that we carry with different people or different groups that we associate with. And And one way to possibly be more truthful in your life is to work on having one more unified personality instead of having different ways that we show ourselves. Um, for example, it might be uncomfortable, like having your worlds collide, like the notion of having a party and having um, all your different groups of friends show up in one place together. And how does that look? And that can be really awkward and uncomfortable for the person because their worlds just, all their personas are being thrown together. So, looking at how to be truthful with ourselves and how we present and trying to be real as opposed to nice and trying to consistently be the same person for everybody is one of the first cornerstones of Satya for truthfulness. Now, I sent you all a list of the different practices, but this week, give yourself an opportunity to observe the difference between nice and real. Notice situations where you were nice. What did this experience invoke in you? What were the results? Notice situations when you were real. What did this experience invoke in you? What were the results? From whom or what do you seek approval? Does this affect whether you act from your niceness or your realness? So just if you would please, try to look at how you're acting in the world this week and just kind of notice how you are in terms of being nice or being real. And that's it. Now, before we go to the mat today, we're going to start sitting up just for a moment. And I'm going to scoot back my stool a little bit. Okay. I wish I could have you all put a strap on and come behind you and drive you a little bit with my hands. But I want you to sit upright and you're on a chair or on the floor or however. And I want you to put your hands together right in front of your chest. Okay. And actually take the backs of your thumbs and press them into that breastbone in the center. And I'll show you what I want you to do first. I want you to keep the lower part of the spine stable and then try to gently twist the upper spine only. Now, when you do this, I want you to really, really, really try to find the truth in your body, okay, with Satya. Now, I want you to see what I can do, okay? I can do this and I can do that, okay? But that's really not where my upper part of my body wants to twist, okay? If I listen to the truthfulness of the body, it becomes much smaller and quieter and different on both sides of the body. So when I twist to my left, that's about how far I should go with the truth in my body. Anything more than that, I feel like I'm pushing it. And when I go to twist to the right, I want you to notice it's just not the same amount. Actually, I've gotten more range of motion from getting ready for today. But that's about how far I should go. Now, see, I can make it go that far, but that's really where I start to feel like I'm pushing against a little bit of resistance. So I just want you to kind of get a feel of where your body can gently twist now. And then at the very end, when we're done, we're just going to stop and check that again and check for the resistance. Okay. And then with that, you can come down lying long on your mat and we'll get started. I'm just going to ask you to lie long on the mat, unless you prefer to be in easy resting pose. But just in that long position, as we always start, just do that gentle soma scan. So let's start with the back of the head, coming down to the back of the shoulders, noticing how the shoulders are lying on the ground. Notice the arms as one rolling in towards the body more or away from the body more. Notice the tension in the back of the body. Are the backs of the shoulders possibly lying more firmly on the left side than the right side? Maybe they don't feel like they're quite touching evenly or making good contact. Slide down to the lower back and notice any achiness or tenderness there. Going down to the hips and notice how the hips are lying. And coming down into the legs, notice if one leg is maybe rolled out more than the other or rolled in more. And just overall, notice how your body is lying on the ground. Does it feel like it's sitting on top? Does it feel like it's settling in? And try to remember this so that we can check in later. And then let's draw our attention to the breath. Thinking of the concept of that full yogic breath. You want to start in the belly, allowing that belly to rise. And then allow that breath to come up into that lower rib cage and up into the upper part of the chest, like we're opening that umbrella up nice and wide. And then slowly allow that umbrella to close. And again, inhaling into that belly, remembering to allow the lower part of the rib cage to be nice and wide, expanding, like giving that diaphragm freedom to move, coming up into the chest, and then releasing. And then once again, start trying to increase the length of the exhalation compared to the inhalation. You can count how long it takes to inhale and how long it takes to exhale, seeing if we can make that exhalation a little bit longer. Two tricks for this. One is to actually make the inhalation a little shorter than your natural breath, which usually automatically allows that exhalation to take a little longer. Or my favorite way is to do a slight pause at the top of that inhalation and then go into the exhalation. I'm going to invite you to return to this breath throughout the practice. Anytime that you're lying there quietly. And then if you would, please, 1 foot at a time, let's bring our feet onto the mat. And begin with some gentle arches and flattens. Gently rolling the hips and the tailbone forward towards the feet, creating that little rainbow arch in the lower back. And then allowing that to softly, gently release. And then allowing the hips to roll the other way, allowing the lower part of the bum to come up off the ground as that spine flattens down onto the mat. And the next time you flatten, if you would please, allow the shoulders to lift up towards the ceiling as the hips come up off the ground and that spine comes down to connect. And as you go into the arch, allow the backs of the shoulders to press down onto the mat, allowing that arch to grow up the length of the spine. And then allowing the body to grow quiet, let's press through the feet into a mini bridge, floating the bum up into the air. And then gently coming back down, wiggling around a little bit so the back of the pelvis feels nice and soft and wide on the mat. And the sacrum is connecting. And then we're going to do that very gentle, easy psoas release. Rolling into an arch. And then allowing that right foot to lift up off the ground as the knee drops in towards the torso. A little pause. And then slowly, simultaneously, releasing that foot and lower back down to the ground. So they touch at the same time, and sliding that foot long. And we want to roll that whole right leg out towards the right. And then glide the side of the right foot back up the inside of the left leg until we can roll that leg back up so the knees pointing up, an easy resting pose. Let's do an arch and flatten in between. And then going back into the arch on the left side, noticing how different it may or may not be from the right. Let's let that right foot float up off the ground as the knee drops in towards the body. And then slowly releasing the foot and the lower back down to the ground. Sliding that left leg long. Rotating the left leg towards the left in the hip socket. Gliding that foot back up and lifting the knee back upright in easy resting pose. And again, another arch and flatten. Press through the feet again and float that bum up off of the ground. Bring it back down. So in this neutral position, we're going to release the upper part of the psoas. And so we're going to bring our arms straight up in the air overhead, like we're lifting them up to the apple tree that's overhead. We do not want to feel the back going into an arch at all. We want to keep that back on the ground. So when you feel your back starting to arch, you've gone far enough, okay? So opening the eyes and looking up towards the hands, we're going to allow the eyes and the hands, the eyes and the head to follow the hands. So the hands are going to start to drop towards that floor behind us, over our head, and the eyes and the head are going to roll with it as that chin comes up and the arms come down towards the floor behind. Again, if you feel your back going into an arch, that's your limit. You don't need to come all the way down. And then slowly lift those hands back up. As our eyes and our head follow our hands till they come back upright. Letting the arms come down. We can hug our knees to the chest and roll the back out. And allow those legs to grow nice and long. Noticing any shifts or changes in our body. Giving ourselves an opportunity to just rest and digest what we've already done. So I'm going to ask you now to grab your myofascial balls, okay? We're going to do a myofascial practice that I kind of showed you a little bit last week for releasing the spine. Now, if you wanted to do this properly on your own, this would probably take you about 15 minutes as a practice. I went through it semi-quickly today, and it took me 10 minutes. So we're not going to spend that long today, but I would encourage you to do it. So the first, let me describe. I'm going to have you pay attention to, I'm going to have you pick 4 areas of your back. So if you know that your lower back has been giving you a lot of trouble, you may want to work in that area 2 different times or spend more time in that area. But we're going to go to 4 different sections along the spine and stay in that position for 1.5 minutes, approximately. I'm not going to time it per se, because you can stay longer if you need to. And don't feel obliged to move around. I think, well, we'll do this about 6 minutes, I think, in 4 different areas. So the first thing that I'm going to have you do is take one ball, because I want you to decide how your body likes it best, okay? So I want you to take one ball and just place it underneath your back somewhere, just to lay on it, right in the center of your spine. And then put your legs long. If they're down low in the lower part of your back, you might want your legs up in easy resting pose. Now, up at the top of your spine, you could also do it that way. It's just easier. It's a little more sensation that the legs are long, but do what's best in your body. After trying one ball, I want you to instead take 2 balls and put them back towards the same spot for a minute. And then compare. So you decide if you want to use 1 ball or 2 balls. I prefer 2 balls, okay? Now, you can start this practice down in the lower part of your back or up in the upper part of your back. It's up to you. But to begin with, when you come back down on your back, whichever section you decide to start with, I'm going to have you place the balls under your back. You can use your feet to scoot around. That's how I usually do it. Move around like an inchworm crawling up. But I want you to kind of move around a little bit in that area and find the spot that makes you go, oh, there it is. That's the place. And then you're going to find that, and that's where you're going to hold. And I'm going to cue you at different times that you could move to find the next spot, but you don't have to. You can stay longer if your body really needs it, okay? So, hopefully you have found a spot now that you would like to focus on to begin. And just lie there and allow that fascia to release onto the balls and release to the gravity of the earth. Just noticing if this is feeling good in your body. Finding the truth in our body means listening and honoring what it's asking for. Maybe you're in that perfect spot and you want to stay here longer, and feel free to do that. Got about 20 seconds left for it to be a minute and a half. But tune in to what your body's asking to decide whether or not to move down or up to a different area. Now feel free to stay here or spend a moment rolling up to the next spot or down to the next spot, just by pressing through your feet, just kind of walking your body up. Depending on where the balls are, maybe you can come up into easy resting pose and push up like a little bridge to help move your body to the next spot, or actually move them with your hands. But find that next perfect place. Unless you're still staying where you are, which is fine. And then just release into the ball. Have about 30 seconds left in this position. We're going to go to 2 more areas. If your body feels like it needs to stay here longer, feel free. Otherwise, you can go ahead and move those balls along the spine to the 3rd spot you need to have them. Just try to find where it is and put them in one place and pause there. Move them a little further up or down. Gravitate to the area that you know you've been having a little more struggles with in your back. And then allow your body to rest into this. Relax and open, noticing that sensation. If you'd like to really play with this at home on your own, start either at the bottom or the top of the spine and just move the balls a half an inch. Really go slow and small and spend the time in each spot the whole way down. It'll take you a while, but it's pretty luxurious. And we're coming to the end of this 3rd spot. Now take your ball or balls and move them one more time to the last spot you'd like to focus on. So I'll give you a little bit to try to find that perfect last spot. And then just allow your body to release and relax into this area. You have about 30 seconds left. And then just remove the ball or balls from under your back. If your knees are up, allow your legs to grow long. And just pause and sense any shifts or changes you may feel. So now I want you to grab your spinal strip that you're going to use. And so if you actually have one of these, great. But if not, grab that towel that's rolled up or a blanket. You can actually take a firm blanket and fold it like an accordion and then lie on that. But we want to get on our backs on the spinal strip so that our tailbone and our head are both lying on it. And then press through the feet, allowing the bum to float up and come back down. Check the weight distribution between the heels and the balls of the feet. Do an arch and flatten or two on here. And then we're going to start by wrapping our arms around ourselves. With our hands on the shoulders if we can, and lullaby arms. And keeping our pelvis firmly and our sacrum firmly on the spinal strip down at the bottom. We're going to roll the upper part of our spine in a gentle twist back and forth to the left and the right, keeping our nose in alignment with our elbows. And then release the arms and change the position. So the arm that was on the top will now be on the bottom. And do this again, back and forth. Bringing our arms straight overhead, hands together like a steeple, keeping our nose in alignment with our hands. Again, we want to stay solidly on that strip that's giving us the support. And gently roll the shoulders back and forth, left to right. Having that strong, firm pelvis anchoring us down. And then bringing our arms back down and removing that strip from below. Laying on our backs again, letting our legs grow long for a moment. Again, doing that soma scan from the top of the head, through the back of the head and the shoulders, down through the hips and the legs, and finally into the feet. Once again, bringing our feet onto the mat and our knees back up in constructive resting pose. Press through the feet, float the bum up into a gentle bridge, and then come back down onto the mat. Noticing the weight distribution between the heels and the balls of the feet, making sure that it feels even. We're going to bring our arms out from our bodies. We want to find that perfect amount. So just slide them on the floor up The hands up towards shoulder height. If you can bring them up to a T, fantastic. If not, that's perfectly fine. You just find the place that works for you. And then start with the left palm down and the right palm open to the sky. And then beginning to roll those arms back and forth. So that one palm is always open to the sky and the other palm is always down on the ground. Really allow the shoulders to get into this as well. So the palm that's open to the sky, the back of that shoulder comes down towards the ground. The palm that's down on the ground, that shoulder wants to float up and meet the sky. And then allowing the arms to go quiet. You can feel free to release them for a bit if you wish. Draw our attention down to the legs. And allow both those knees to just drop over to the left as far as they can, allowing that right bum cheek to come up off the ground. And then allow those knees to float up in the air and then come to drop over on the other side. Really getting a twist in that lower spine. As we roll back and forth. And bringing the knees back upright into easy resting pose. We'll bring our arms back out, right palm up, left palm down. And this time allow the head to roll to the palm that is open to the sky. And then as the arms rotate in the shoulder socket, the head will roll to the left. You always want the head facing the palm that's open to the sky. So as the arms roll back and forth in the shoulder sockets, the head's going to roll along with that. And then bring the arms to allow the arms to go quiet again. We're going to set ourselves back up to do the full washcloth. Right palm open to the sky. Left palm grounded. Allow those knees to drop over to the left and the head to roll towards the right. And then at that same time, roll both the arms and the head and the knees to the opposite side, like you're wringing out a washcloth. Really feel it in the body. Then when you complete the one that you're on, again, hug your knees to your chest. Roll that back out. Allow the legs to grow long again for a moment, noticing how your body feels. Doing another soma scan from the top to the bottom. And then we're going to spend 3 minutes on each side in a yin spinal twist. So to do this twist, you may or may not want bolsters or rolled up blankets or pillows. So I'm going to show you how you could use those. You might actually want little blocks or books instead if you don't need a lot of support. But one way to use the pillows is to have a big bolster stacked on one side. So when you go into the twist, your legs will be sitting on top. Another way is to have a pillow or a bolster between the knees so that the top leg is just not dangling out there somewhere, but it has support as well. So you might be different from one side of the body to the other. So think about that. Now, like I said, we're going to stay in this for 3 minutes, but if you need to come out of the position before, do so, come back up to easy resting, and then we're going to go into yin resting pose. So if you remember, yin resting pose is to go from easy resting to the knees touching in the center. So if you need to come up, you can go into easy resting or yin resting. Now, another thing to keep in mind, you can go into the twist from easy resting pose and allow your body to drop over. And you don't have to use any props. For me, if I was going to do it in this position, I would just want a prop under my upper leg to hold. But another possibility, if you have more mobility in your body and want to go a bit deeper, is to bring the feet up off the ground and then twist like this over onto one side. And again, you might want to put the pillows under your knees, the arms out. Now, in any of these positions, it might feel great to have the arms back in your kind of T position. And you might want to actually roll your head in the opposite direction if it's not too much sensation. If it is, back off. Remember, we were studying truthfulness. Find the truth in your body. So hopefully you've tried all these different ways to be in the pose and you have found your perfect position. So get cozied in there. And we're going to do 3 minutes on each side. So if you would please, just allow your body to begin releasing and relaxing. Letting go to the gravity. Only adjusting if you need to find more ease in this position. If the sensation is too much. You may find that as your body begins to release, you might actually be able to go a little bit deeper. Maybe your body asks for a prop to be removed. We've been in this position for about half our time. This is a nice opportunity to remember to practice the umbrella breath and allowing your breath as you exhale to be longer than the inhalation. Coming on about the last minute in this position. Listen to the truth of your body. Allow your body to come out back into easy resting or yin resting pose if it needs to. We're at about the last 20 seconds. And very gently find the easiest way to release from whatever position that you're in. Maybe you want to hug the knees to your chest and roll your back out a bit before you move to the other side. Maybe you want to stretch, allow the legs to grow long for a moment. And then let's move into the perfect twist on the other side of your body. Again, listen to the body. This side may be different than the other side was. It is possible that you might need less propping or more propping or different propping. So just experiment. Find out what's perfect for you. Also remembering that you may want the arms out and the head turned in the opposite direction of the twist of the spine. And then we'll go into this position for 3 minutes. Long, slow umbrella breaths. Possibly allowing that exhalation to be a little bit longer than the inhalation. You've been in here about half the amount of time. Remembering to come out of this position if it becomes too much. Your body will tell you what it needs. You have less than a minute left. Check back in that your body's filled with ease. There is a lot of sensation to begin with. Hopefully that's releasing as the fascia is allowed to stretch and release. And gently come back out of this position, hugging your knees to your chest and rolling that back out again. And bringing the feet back into easy resting pose. For a moment, I'm going to ask you to bring that left leg long, that right knee up. Press through the heel and the sole of the foot, allowing the hips and the pelvis on the right side to lift and roll over and push yourself back upright into a seated position. You can sit gently on something like I have my little zafu here to prop my bum up. But if you prefer, you can get a chair to sit on. So I have that chair over there. And seated upright, we're gonna cross our legs. The preferred way to do it, the easiest way, is to bring one heel in towards the groin and then take the other foot in up on top of that foot. That's usually easier than a typical crisscross applesauce position. So in this position, just take the left hand or the right hand and bring it behind the body, and then just do a gentle twist with the other hand coming across the body on the leg. Look over the shoulder, and then telescope around to the other side. And release. And let's do that little recalibration. Bringing the palms together, the thumbs together, pressing the back of the hand gently into the chest. Very slow, very small. Twist to the left once and the right. Noticing if that little barrier you come up against at the top of the spine is maybe moved a little further so you have more range of motion. All right. Can release from that. Last week, the last month, the mudra that we focused on was the Mushti mudra, with hands in the fists, thumbs on the ring fingers. And it's really great anytime you're angry. You know, all you got to do is just take your hands together, think about being peaceful. The mudra, the hand mudra we're going to focus on this month is called the Kali mudra. Kali is the goddess of fearlessness, of inner strength and empowerment. Oh, I love Kali. So when we do this one, we bring our hands together and interlace our fingers, and then bring our fingers up into a steeple. Now, you can actually have it like this in front of your chest, if that feels right to you, or pointing forward like that. So just find what you prefer. Benefits are it empowers you to stand in your truth, it cultivates courage, and it builds inner strength. When we're in this position, for the next couple minutes as we sit here, You can chant quietly to yourself one of two things. Sat Nam, or which is Sanskrit, or its meaning in English, which is my name is truth. Now, I think this is a beautiful one if you're needing to speak your truth to somebody and it's hard and scary. This would be great that you could do. If you sit like this, it doesn't really look like anything. You're just sitting there talking, but you're using that mudra. And with hand mudras, it's believed that as we interlace and connect at these points, if you think of acupuncture and all those little energy spots, yoga teaches the same types of points in the bodies. They're called nadis. There's just this crazy number of them. I can't remember right now. But the hand mudras connect the nadis. So that helps with the energetic they create. So just pick your position, and we're just going to do it for a minute today. Let's get in that position and say either Sat Nam to yourself or my name is truth. And then releasing from that, I would invite you to find your way back down onto the floor for our final relaxation. Again, you can have your legs nice and long or propped under the knees with a blanket or a little bolster or a big bolster. Or you can have your feet on the floor with the knees in easy resting pose to give a little extra time for that psoas to release, and at the same time, kind of gives you a little energy for the evening. So pick your perfect position. And then allow your attention to be on the smooth, slow, serene flow of the breath. The exhalation is cleansing and relaxing, and the inhalation is nourishing and energizing. And scan your body from the head to the toes and back again. Once again, pausing briefly to become aware of each area and to release any tension you feel there. When you find a certain area of tension, imagine sending the breath to that particular part of the body, allowing it to unwind and release. Let the whole body be soft, heavy, and easy. Let it feel like you're melting into the earth below. Relax everywhere, allowing your eyes to fall backward, away from the eyelids, with your tongue resting lightly in your mouth. Allow each exhalation to feel like the tension is leaving your body, releasing all of the body's toxins, wastes, and negative energy. And allow each inhalation to be deep, soothing, and peaceful. Feel the space inside and around your body. Notice that as you relax and expand, every tension disappears. Relax the crown of your head and the brain, allowing both sides of your head to release to the floor. Relax your forehead, eyebrows, eyes, eye sockets, and that space between the eyebrows, the mind's eye. Your cheeks and chin. Soften the temples, the jaw, and your neck and throat center. Relax from the shoulder joints to the elbows, to the wrists and the fingertips. Feel the energy in the palms of your hands. Allow the movement of your breathing to loosen the shoulder blades, mid-back to lower back. Let all the wide muscles of the back release to the ground completely. Letting go over and over again through the breath. Soften the heart center, the rib cage, the abdominal organs, and the pelvis. Feel the life force, the prana entering your consciousness with a long, slow, deep inhalation. Soften the hips and around the hip sockets. And allowing the toes and the fingers to move, and the hands and the feet to roll on the wrists and ankles. Hug your knees to your chest, rolling the back out. And allow the right foot to come on the mat with the knee up in the air and the left foot to grow long. And pressing through that left heel and the sole of the right foot. Push that right hip up off the ground, rolling the pelvis over, and come to your side on your body, curled up gently. And lie here in this gentle curled up position for a bit. And then from this position, bring yourself back upright into a seated position. Getting comfortable, seated upright, either in a chair or on the floor. We'll do 2 minutes again of the metta meditation, the loving kindness meditation. Again, if it's hard for you to say the words for yourself, then say them for someone you love. I'll repeat it 3 times, letting my voice be your voice, and then you can repeat it quietly to yourself. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I live with ease of heart. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I live with ease of heart. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I live with ease of heart. And then we'll go into our closing prayers. We were talking about hand mudras. Prayer position is actually a hand mudra. So yoga for the hands, yoga for the body. Obviously, praying is a Christian thing like this with our hands. I don't know about other religions, but in the yogic tradition, this is uniting the female and the male energies. The left is the Shakti, and the right is the male energy of the Shiva. The left is the energy of the moon. The right is the energy of the sun. And we have energy channels that run through our body, acupuncture, how we work on them. So when we do this, we're uniting the divine feminine and the divine masculine, and we're just giving another pathway for the energy to travel. May all beings find happiness. May all be free of disease. May all see what is auspicious, and may no one suffer. May you be at peace. May your heart remain open. May you awaken to the light of your own true nature. May you be healed, and may you be a source of healing for all beings. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om peace, peace, peace. Well, thank you for being here. I'll stop the recording.